Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Open Office Hours. I'm Crystal. I'm part of the team here at Syncro, and I will let the ladies introduce themselves.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Tatiana. Thank you for joining us.
Hi everyone, I'm Brandy and I'm also a member here. Well, that's weird. I never use Zoom backgrounds, but you can only see like half of my hand when I wave. But welcome, it's Friday. We're excited to be here and we're happy you guys are joining us too.
Busted. That's not actually what Brandy's office looks like.
Well, after last week, we got all of the comments about how all of our walls are blank. And Carl, if you're in here, thank you for sending us some Zoom backgrounds from Frozen. I've been using them all since last Friday. But today I was like, you know what? I'm going to have an office. So here we are.
Oh.
Love the dedication, Brandy. Way to go. It's so pretty.
I don't have a green screen, and for some reason I try to put the background on and all you see is like my chin. And so we're not doing that today. Anyways, it's an interesting Open Office Hours, especially if you've never done this before. So welcome. Open Office Hours is kind of a place where we are here for an hour. We will answer all your questions in regards to, it could be anything from how-tos, maybe you're just now looking at the software, or you could possibly be a payer that's been using Syncro a year now and just have maybe some questions on, maybe you have a changing workflow or something new that's come up. So we utilize the Q&A. So if you do have a question and if you see either any of us looking to a different screen, we're probably just looking at the Q&A box. That's the best way for us to manage those questions as they come in. We're happy to share our screen, kind of give you a walkthrough guide, to help answer your questions. These are recorded and we do takes us usually about a day to post it to our YouTube channel, but if you haven't been to these open office hours before, we're starting to get quite a library in there. So if you want to kind of go back and look, there's some cool gems in here because, like I said, it's questions from that maybe are outside of what you'd get in a normal demo. Maybe that might be just either super random or very specific. So feel free to watch those. And then again, like I said, any questions that you have, if there's been things you've been working on, throughout the week that you just are, hey, hop in here real quick, ask your question. That's great. We do these every Friday. We love doing these. And yeah, we were joking, obviously, but the end of last session was pretty funny just in regards to the way that our home offices look. But it's kind of funny also that we actually are a fully remote team. We've been fully remote from the beginning. It's not like this is not that any of the COVID stuff has changed that. So we've always been remote. So my walls have always been this place. But anyways, yeah. So thanks for joining us today. And it looks like we've got some questions coming in. So we'll go ahead and grab those.
Yeah, and I think two of these are very similar, so I'll go ahead and grab the first two. Andy says, I guess this may be a bug and could be on my end, but when I use Syncro Live, I can type things in, but when I hit enter or delete or tab, anything like that, random letters are typing instead, so I can rarely use the remote connection. Have you come across this? I would most definitely email help@syncromsp.com. It does sound like a bug, or I'm not sure which end it's coming on, but they'll be able to look into that for you. Anything unusual that you notice, please, please, please mention that to our tech support team. And then Douglas also asked if there's going to be any improvements to the Syncro Live solution soon. Yes, very soon. It's something that, because of everyone in this room, we've taken a lot of feedback. Maybe our team has asked from feedback from you as well. We are actively working on this. It's a huge, huge priority, but I think you guys will notice a big difference very soon.
Yeah, for sure. Also, Keith, I just wanted to say hi. He was like, hello. And Keith, maybe it's funny because if you guys follow our Facebook page, it's been a while, but we posted a little video. We gave a little octopus to his daughter, and it was so cute. So hi Talia, hi Keith. Okay,
real quickly, it looks like someone said, I believe that bug only shows up in Edge, so I'm not sure if that's something you want to look into, but it looks like someone had a little bit of a comment there. Thank you.
Let's see. And then just in regards to, is there anything now or planned that allows contact syncing to mobile devices? Uh, I feel like I need more clarification on that question. Is there now or planned that allows contact syncing to mobile devices? Are you just saying like our contacts sync, like the contacts in Syncro syncing to the mobile app, or do you mean like your Office 365 contacts syncing? Am I reading that question right? Are you guys, maybe I'm missing something.
No, I just would love a little bit more clarification on that too, just to see, because it might be something that's there and it might be a feature request, but even if it is a feature request, just so you know, all of the requests we get in here, we do pass along.
Okay, looks like we have the next question in here is about prepaid hours. Jared says, I'm struggling to use prepaid hours. I can manually add prepaid hours and by creating an invoice with prepaid hours, but I can't get them to decrement. In a test ticket, I added labor hours and it doesn't count down. I tried billing those hours. I even invoiced those hours. Nothing counts down the customer's prepaid hours. What do we do to count down the prepaid hours? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick just to make sure that we are all on the same page and to show you kind of some settings that you can adjust. So first things first, obviously, I'm in the knowledge base article. First things first, you do need to enable the prepaid hours right in here under your customer settings. So it sounds like you already do have that enabled since you're able to add those there. The other thing I'll mention too is if you go over to your admin section under the inventory, you want to make sure that under, I believe it's under the preferences section here, you have your categories laid out like this to where you do have labor as a category in here. So as long as you have that listed there, you should, as you continue adding, it sounds like you don't have any issues adding prepaid hours, but when you're working on tickets, anytime that you add any labor type that's listed under there, you should be able to it'll automatically do it. There's no other settings that you would need to adjust to make sure that that's working for you. So again, as you're adding time to your tickets, the other thing you want to make sure is you're actually charging the time to the tickets. So that's another thing to look out for. If you're adding time, but you don't charge your time by default, or you're not manually clicking this button in here, it's not going to count against those prepaid hours. So I would double check to make sure that you're actually selecting charge time, because that's what actually adds the ticket charges in here, and that is what's going to carry over to the invoice and is going to actually count against those prepaid hours. So once you do charge the time, when you click make invoice, here I'll show you guys a live example in here. Let me make sure these are not invoiced yet. So we do have some labor in here. I'll go over to the customer section. We'll check what their balance is first. Looks like they have, this customer Larry has 16.33 hours. So I went ahead and I made sure that I charged time in the labor log in here. Go ahead and charge another one. And then when you click make invoice, that should be automatically counting against those prepaid hours. So if we scroll down on the invoice, you'll see that it says applied 1 prepaid hour. The balance is going to be, or the rate is going to be at 0. And then if we go back and refresh the customer's profile, it should say that the prepaid hours went down based on how much time you charged in here. So if you have all of those things in place, beyond that, I can't think of anything else that you would need to adjust if you ladies have anything else to add there. But hopefully that helps a little bit. If you do have further questions, I would reach out to your support team in case there's some setting that I might not know about.
Well, that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. Thank you. I'm going to read this one. It just says, I tried to bulk select tickets this morning, but it would deselect each ticket and allow one at a time. This has happened a few times. Is this a known bug? It isn't. This isn't a known bug. I just did this, and let me know if this is not the part you're talking about, but like if I select tickets here, like here, and then go to bulk actions, they're still selected. So if you're experiencing that, I know that the first question technical support will have for you is what browser you're using. Is it the updated version of Chrome? So maybe check those few things first, because I have not heard of that bug personally, but definitely report it. And we always love if you are having that happen and if it's repeatable, if you take like a quick video and send it in, that's super helpful also. Let's see here. I thought there was another one that I was going to grab. Oh, I'll just grab this one really quick since I'm already sharing my screen. I just wanted to show for Andy, I wanted to let you know that you can customize the customer portal in regards to what customers can see and what they can't when they log into their portal. So if you go to your admin section and you head down to portal user permission groups here, you can actually select and create different portal user types. But if you edit this, if you wanted them to, like you were mentioning, maybe only see their tickets, you can just have everything else unselected if you're not using invoicing and things like that. And so the portal might look confusing if you're not using those modules. So you can customize the way that the portal looks and who has access to what.
Yep.
Cool.
Awesome. I have a couple questions that I'll tackle in here really quickly. It looks like for the contact syncing Keith was talking about, he just said, I would love all of the company info to sync down to my mobile phone to get address and phone numbers so company information shows up when they call me. So feature request at this time, right? Unless there's anything else that you guys know about.
Yeah, feature request. I think like when all you, I mean, the only other, I mean, we have different PBX type,
yeah,
but not exactly what you're speaking of.
Yeah, so definitely a feature request. We can pass that along. And then Dalton is asking, new to Syncro, how can I uninstall apps on the client computers? Does it need to be done with PowerShell? It does currently, but I'll just share my screen really quickly. This is something that we would like to be able to add. It's been asked quite a few times, but if you are looking at a device and you'll be able to see all of the installed apps, one thing that people don't know is that you can actually set up a notification anytime an end user is installing a new app. So you can quickly go on and be able to uninstall. You would have to use PowerShell. We do have a few uninstall scripts as well in the community script library, so you can pop in there and check it out. But you know, eventually we would like to be able to have the option to uninstall. And I think that is something that's on our roadmap. I'm not sure where it is, but it will definitely be coming at some point. Yep. And then I think there was one more that I can go ahead. No support for mobile devices right now. So I thought I would tackle that while we were there, but not at the time.
Sorry, I'm researching this estimates to order to invoice one. I just need a couple minutes.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Let me keep going. There's quite a few questions in here. Is there a place for... Okay. Hey, so for Syncro Live, is there a place to see what updates are coming? We would really love the ability to paste the local clipboard as keystrokes, similar to what Splashtop can do. Interesting, because I thought that you can do that, but maybe I'm missing something. So I'm just gonna share my screen really quick. There's like two questions in there. First part, we don't necessarily have a public facing roadmap. However, we are pretty transparent. So if you do have questions about something or wondering if something's on the way, I will say that like we mentioned before, Syncro Live has kind of like a lot of huge things on the way. But one thing that I just wanted to show you just really quickly, because I've been asked this before and I don't know if this virtual machine is up and going. But if we go to the remote desktop connection, this does act as a clipboard. And as far as I thought I saw on a release somewhere that the copy paste does work. And that's what this clipboard is for. So just showing that off. If the functionality isn't there, please let us know, but I'm fairly certain that that was released as far as the copy paste goes. Okie doke, what's next?
I can take a couple of these in here since Tatiana, you're working on that. I am going to show you the documentation here in a second. It looks like, can we use Syncro Live remote login to a client using an iPad? Sorry, these get moved when we get new questions. In Safari web browser or within Syncro iPad apps. So if you're asking if you can remote into an iPad, you cannot. You can from if you are on an iPad, you are able to launch a remote session. You could use the mobile Chrome browser at this time. It's not available to remote in just using the Syncro app, but you could use a mobile Chrome browser from an iPad, from your iPhone, whatever you would like to there. Absolutely. Randy has a feature request. I would still like the ability to have a retainer, prepaid hours that goes based on dollars rather than the hours. I agree. I like that. It shows much easier on an invoice versus some items being at 0 and others with hours. Also being able to change the description. I agree. Love that. And then I'm going to just share real quickly on documentation because there's a couple things here. So these are basically wiki. You can absolutely use these internally. So things like we use it internally. You could use it if you've got multiple technicians for, HR, time off requests. You can even post articles and reference these different wiki pages in a ticket and say, see wiki, whatever it is, based on different tickets if you guys found solutions on how to do that. So I have a few examples in here that I can show you. This is like if you wanted to use it internally, that type of a thing. But you can just go create a new wiki page. You can make it internal, so just your text can see it. You can also make it available to all of your customer portals. In a way that some people like to use this is you could say, this is what to do if this happens. This is how to get in touch with me, that type of a thing. You could also come here and I could do it for a particular customer. So maybe you want to outline your contract with them. Again, it just goes, you can do a lot with this. There might be some of you who are internal IT in here also. You could have it set up for different departments. But what that looks like is from the customer portal, you again will get to select if they have access to documentation on their portal. And if they do, then they'll see a section down here for documentation and they can click into any of these. You can have credentials for them as well. I don't have any credentials set up on here to pass to him, but you are able to see a lot of different information in here. They could click into their different wiki pages. Yep, that's it. Hope that helps.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to attempt this next one. I'll be completely honest, I don't spend a ton of time in the inventory section of Syncro, but I will do my best to help answer this question. So Terry asks, he says, do you have a workflow for an estimate, going from an estimate to an order to an invoice? So when you say order, that's what I'm assuming that you're asking how to order parts or things like that for your estimate. So I will show you how to do that. And then he says, especially for large product orders for deployment projects. So I will show you how to do that. So first things first, obviously you do need to head over to the estimates section. This is where you have the ability to quote your customer in advance of a project. And so you do an estimate to a customer. And then from here, you can pull in any product, any service that you need to from your inventory. So as long as you have this item listed in your products and services section, you can add that as a line item in here. You can add all the things that you need to. If you do have manual items that you're not keeping stock of, you can add manual items in here as well. So once you've added your line items, you have the option here to either convert this into an invoice right away if you're planning to bill your customer before the project begins, or once this estimate is built, the customer can approve or decline via their customer portal. And if that's what you're waiting for, you can then add, once you publish it, they can approve or decline, and then you can create a ticket from here. So how to add things to your inventory, or from your inventory to your estimate. You would go over here to the product. Just click into here. You can check first to see if you have anything in stock in this section here, and then you can also build a purchase order straight from here as well. So you would pull in your vendor that you have set up ahead of time, create the purchase order, update the quantity, do the things that you need to do, add tracking numbers, things like that. So hopefully that at least puts you in the right direction of kind of the next steps to take.
Awesome. Tatiana, while you're sharing your screen, I've seen you show this before and you're kind of a pro. Paco was asking how to, from a ticket, whether there's like a master ticket or anything like that, how to essentially reference another ticket from within a ticket. Can you show that, please?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So a couple different ways. Let me clear this grouping because I like it when it's just one huge list. But yes, when you're working on a ticket, I think there's two different options that I've seen people do, or that I've kind of worked through myself. You have the capability in here. First things first is you can build different custom fields on a ticket basis. So in here you can create a ticket custom field that says, for example, I don't remember which one it is. It's either this one, a child ticket URL. I think that one's just kind of a duplicate. So you can manage those custom fields. And then once you enter that into here, whatever it might be, it would be just attached to the ticket, just like this in a live link. I think the only other way to do that is if you wanted to create like an on the fly, maybe I don't remember if this text box will include that child ticket, and then save the worksheet. And then I think you can type into here as well, like if there is a link, if that makes sense. I think those are the two ways. Again, I don't know if this link works. Let me just test it for you real quick. It doesn't look like it. So yeah, you would want to create, instead of doing it via the worksheet, you would want to create it as a custom field in here and then have a link to all the child tickets off of this master ticket.
Cool.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I see a couple questions in here I can go ahead and grab. So Robert is asking, can we add pictures of products on estimates? I see that we can add, I see that we can add pictures on products, but it would be nice if they would transfer to estimates. So I'll just share my screen really quickly and show you. You're not able to have, like, there's not going to be a photo out to the side of the product, but you can add additional attachments here to the ticket. So if you needed to add any photos there, you'd be able to. I think you're probably asking if it's going to show next to each product, but my understanding is that it isn't, unless you guys know of something that I don't. Then you would add that as an attachment here.
The only thing I was just going to look, you can keep going. I'm just on my screen. I was just going to see if it's like a template tag to have the photo on, like tech photo.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because we play around with what's set up in our account, and normally whenever I run that, the photo doesn't show up. But I do not think that that is something you can currently do. I have had that question before.
Right. Nope, you're good. Go ahead.
And then there was a question about Password Vault. So I want to just make sure that I clear up the question. Password Vault is not a password. It's not like Passportal or something where you're going to keep a bunch of passwords. We use Password Vault to encrypt custom fields. So what happens is you set up a Password Vault phrase. You'll come in here and you'll set this up. And that would be if you wanted to come in and you wanted to create custom fields that were encrypted, you could type in the Password Vault phrase here and it would populate whatever is in this box. How you would do that is you would actually go into the admin section. Just depends on if you're setting up a customer custom field, contact, asset, or tickets. All of those can be encrypted though. When you're generating a new ticket, a new custom field, you just come in and select encrypted or secret, and then that would be how your custom field was going to be set up. So if you were looking to save passwords, I would likely use the credentials. You can do that on a particular customer. That might be an easier way, but I also like to be transparent here is you can pass credentials to them like on their portal, but they're not able, if they update their password, it's not all of a sudden going to update this password in here. But you are able to store credentials on a particular customer. So I would likely do that if you were looking to store a bunch of passwords for somebody. Password Vault is just strictly for encrypting custom fields.
Awesome. I have a question here from Roger. He says, hello, Dynamic Trio. Hello, Roger. Nice to see you. Okay, so he says, when setting up a, where do we go? When setting up a recurring invoice using the asset and RMM counter, the next two fields are name and description. Are these fields informational only, or do they need to match products already set up? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, show you guys what he's talking about. So I did some testing while Brandy was showing off her question. So in here, what he's talking about, if you go over to the invoices section and then you click into the recurring invoices and you're building a new one, what he's talking about is this line item here, the asset and RMM counter. So usually on demos, I show that first thing that you would need to do is build a products and services offering that you're trying to sell your customers. So whether you're billing on a per endpoint basis, if you're doing a different pricing based on if it's per workstation or per server, you would build that product first in order to pull it in here as a line item that you're going to be billing for. So usually you would say per endpoint billing or per user or per workstation or whatever you're billing for in here. Excuse me, you would say per endpoint, per workstation, or per server since it's using the asset and RMM counter. But his question was, can I just type anything that I want in here? Yes, you can. So I did a test and I said testing for Roger, asset and RMM counter. You can enter your own details in here and it will allow you to just add that as a line item to the template. It will still do the dynamic count for you. So again, because everything is built onto the same platform, you have this dynamic counter is picking up how many endpoints you're managing for this customer since they're being managed right within Syncro. So, and again, it's the same, I have that same line item, but I'm linking it to an actual product right here, as I showed you in the first example, to per endpoint billing. So the numbers match, so that's good. So really, I think if you would want to, if you're building maybe custom pricing for the specific customer, you could use it and enter it manually, or more strongly, I would suggest to just override that per customer pricing with a contract instead. So if you're giving this specific customer a discount or you're charging them something else based on the contract that you have for them, you could say, hey, I'm gonna say we're billing you on a per endpoint basis, but I usually charge maybe $25 for you. I'll charge 15. And I don't know if this is reflective of the product offerings that you guys bill your customers, just an example. But again, you can say per endpoint billing, add that override. And so instead, I would just use that as a regular line item in here, because as you can see, it doesn't link to anything since it's just a manually entered item, whereas with this one, it would take you to the actual product. You can pull reports off of that. I can go on and on, but that's kind of the gist. Hopefully that helps answer your question.
And while you're there, Tatiana, there was a question earlier about the setting of creating a ticket before the contract expires above.
Oh, yes.
I saw this come in that Douglas is experiencing that this is no, it used to work and now it's not working for him. So if
Interesting.
Case, if you have a subscription attached and the subscription has an expiration date and you have that to create a ticket before that contract expires, if it's not working, please link the reoccurring invoice and customer and let technical support know, because I've not heard that not working. So yes, definitely.
Yep.
I see one in here for, unless you have one that you are going to grab. Okay, how can we add and delete programs for groups of computers? So there's a couple parts to this. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Awesome. So as far as adding programs, and I'm assuming you're talking about like third-party apps in here. So what I would do is, this is in policies, so I could have my group of devices here in one particular policy. All of my devices are here. I can come in and I'm able to go down to my third-party apps and I can add those in here. We do have a list of pre-populated apps that are in here. Anything additional than the list of like 20 or 25 that we have, you can just search for those. A lot of people ask me for Dell command, things like that. You're able to search for, I think there's like 7,000 or something crazy and chocolatey to choose from. So you can install these in mass if you'd like to. As far as deleting, I know we talked about it a little bit earlier. Currently, you will have to use a script to do so, but you could group your, you can use saved asset searches. And while we're here, I'm just going to explain the saved asset searches a little bit because you can do a lot with these different groups of devices. You can build dynamically off of them. You can run scripts. You can send out mass mailers. Lots of different things here. So you're able to come in and you can select manage device and you can add different property conditions if you needed to. But you could also say, okay, if they have a certain application installed. So my example here is I have Adobe Air installed. So all of my devices with that app I can select those, and then I can go up to manage, and I'm able to run a script, and I could uninstall. I don't believe there's an uninstall script for that in the community script library, but there might be, or whatever it is that you're looking to uninstall. But that would be the best way to uninstall for a group of devices at this time.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to go through a couple of these. This was regarding the contacts. Jeremy was just saying Office 365 public folders will sync to smartphones. We built a Power Query in Excel to import all contacts and properties, and then I export as CSV, import into a contact list. He says kludge a bit, but it works. So just wanted to say that out loud. We love when anyone in the room has input or something that they've done, to whether it's working around something that maybe is currently a feature request. We love hearing that. So then Terry has some additional questions, just kind of going into the parts orders and adding line items as far as projects that have big projects that maybe you'd want to add, like linked parts. So like you're mentioning, we do have bundles, but they do add as one line item. And so there's really not, unless I'm not feeling creative enough to think about it this way, but I don't know if there's a real great way to have that automatically attached. Like there are certain things like that I've heard folks do by utilizing worksheets within a ticket, where it's like if it's a certain ticket type and it's like, you know, you're going to add this, you could actually just have that in a worksheet so that like you check box off that you've done that and added it so that it's not getting missed or forgotten. It's not automated by any means, but there's a way to do that. So and then in addition to that, there's a lot of times there's like a gap in verbiage, and so there are purchase orders in Syncro and there are parts orders, and they are very different. So purchase orders are things that you have in your inventory that you're keeping stock of, that if they go below a certain stock, it like can prompt that a purchase order is created. Those parts, I'm not going to say parts, those inventory items have vendors attached to them. You can track those purchase orders and that sort of thing. Parts, when you add a part order from a ticket, those are things that you would not add into your inventory. So you can put your tracking numbers in there and like you have a parts order module, but it's not as sophisticated as like a purchase order. So I'm just trying to like clear up the different languages that we use, because it is, sometimes it gets confusing and it gets overlapping. So with purchase orders, just referring to that they are inventory items and something in your system, and parts orders are more of like a one-off thing that you add. But I think that leveraging worksheets is a nice way to do that if bundles don't work for you. And I get it, because they show up as one line.
And with that too, real quick, Crystal, is like you could have a certain bundle be the name of a custom field, and anytime you type in that bundle as a custom field, it would attach that worksheet specifically with all of those parts that you were going to add. And then on, you know, when you look at the ticket, it shows that they can see every single thing. So I kind of like that too.
Absolutely.
Workaround.
Yeah. And I also wanted to grab this one from Justin, because I think this is cool and this comes up often. Is there a way to manually kick off the ticket autoresponder email template, or possibly through ticket automations? The system seems to only auto reply with the template when people create a ticket via email, but I have tickets also being created via the API through help desk buttons, and I want to make sure those new tickets get the auto response as well. So yes, the best way, Justin, at this point to do that would be to set up a ticket automation. And so if I'm sharing the right screen, right? If you go to your admin section, so I'm assuming if you're utilizing the API, those tickets that you're getting created from help desk buttons, they probably are coming into the system with a specific subject or type, that kind of thing. So you could go into ticket automations here and just say that, you know, if it's, so for example, it would be like ticket status is new, and like ticket Whether it's, again, I don't know if you're having an auto come in with a specific ticket type, you could use ticket type. So if it's new and it comes in with that, then what I want is to do an auto responder and an email the customer contact or whatever that might be. So when it's coming, if a ticket's being created from somewhere else other than an email, you could use ticket automations to trigger those auto responders.
Mm-hmm. And you still have those template tags right down there too, where Crystal's showing too. So if you're building, custom emails, even though it's not going to be that exact ticket autoresponder, you can build it using those template tags right there too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Next question here is from Justin. He says, is there any way to see how much an asset counter line item on an invoice is being billed at? Showing the current quantity hides the amount. I find myself having to erase and recreate the same invoice line items over and over again to make sure the amount is set correctly. Is there an edit button on the line item that will show more information that I'm missing? So I'll share real quick. And before I answer that question, someone said that I zipped through the previous question too fast. So I'm going to send this link to you guys. If you don't know already, we have a full YouTube channel and it's popping. We have a ton of new videos in there all the time. This is one that I will drop into the chat box for everyone to see, but we have 3 videos specifically dedicated on how to set up those dynamic counters that I showed you guys if you're billing on a per asset basis. So I will link that to you guys after I'm done showing this example. So Justin's question in here is, he's saying, when he creates a line item in here, when you add an asset and RMM counter or any line item in here, you can't see what it's being billed at, these dynamic counters right here. You just see the amount. The only thing I can suggest is you can click into the actual product that you're billing this customer at, because there is no drop-down menu to see what it's being billed at on this specific page right here. You can go into here, into the product section, and see what that's being billed at. The other place to check is if you are doing any type of overrides via the contract, you can check that section there as well. But lastly, once this invoice gets generated, on whatever schedule that you specify in here. On the first, you can make sure that the customer is not automatically receiving the PDF. But once this template is it's building your invoice for you. So once the invoice gets billed, you actually can go to the invoices section. And then in here, I'll show you guys it. I think the last one I saw was on the 4th page. You'll have, nope, let me try 5th. You have, once it's generated by that template, it's going to be sitting in your regular list of invoices in here. It'll have this double arrow icon. And then at that point, you can go into here and you can say, okay, I want to see what this is actually being billed at. And you can be like, yep, looks good. And then preview the PDF if you need to. And then at that point, email the customer the PDF. I have received the feature request to be able to quickly preview what this recurring invoice is going to look like before it generates. I'm definitely happy to pass that along for you because I can definitely see how that could be useful. But those are the current leads there. And then the other question was, John says, I've heard that you cannot apply multiple RMM policies to a given device. Is that something that will change in the future? Honestly, so this is what he's talking about. If we head over to the policy section, currently within Syncro, you are building your policies and an asset can only have one policy applied to it. However, I'll show you guys, we do have policy modules built into Syncro as well. So whether you're building multiple different options for process and service monitoring or third-party patch management, which Brandy showed you guys previously, you're using these policy modules, you're adding them to this kind of umbrella policy that you're building here. So again, you can have multiple versions of the process and service monitor and choose which one of those you want to add to this kind of umbrella policy. So if you're looking to edit things in bulk, you could do that by editing this process and service monitor and then applying it to all of your policies and updating it that way in bulk. But I think the way the hierarchy currently exists with how the policies are applied, I think that kind of goes to how it was set up from the beginning. So I don't know if there's going to be any huge changes on that side.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, things change all the time. Depends on how often you guys request them.
Yes, and that's a huge request, and I've heard that I think we're in consideration spec mode.
Cool. That's awesome. Question in here about how to add printers, routers, etc. So let me just go ahead and share my screen real quickly. As you probably know, those are not going to be managed devices in Syncro, but you can go into the admin section and you are able to go to under customers, it's asset custom fields. So I can come in here, I could set up a router as a new field. I can also come in here and manage the different custom fields that I want to show anytime I am adding this particular device here. And then if I go into my customers, let me just pull up Larry here. I'm sure all of you have heard about Larry if you've talked to any of us. And then if you go to your assets, I'm able to come in, I can either do an RMM agent installer or I can go to a manual asset. So this is where it's going to ask me, okay, let's add that router, and then I can add any information in here. Now, when I do add this, I want to let you guys know that you are able to create tickets against them. So although they're not managed devices, you can still house information in here. You can also come in here and you'll be able to use that quick view button and just generate a ticket this way. I hope that helps.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to answer this one from Douglas in regards to integrated apps, Bitdefender, Gravity Zone, and MSP360. How do we query those services to get the head counts and billables and then add to reoccurring invoices? So I'm going to let me go to a reoccurring invoice first, because there's actually a couple ways to show this. So let me just go to a recurring invoice really quickly. Because it's a little bit different for each. I'm just going to go into one of these. It doesn't really matter. So this data backup line, this actually pulls straight from MSP360. It's still labeled as Cloudberry, formerly known as Cloudberry. But for MSP360 specifically, this is automated. Like this is just kind of magic. This will pull from whatever you have in your MSP360 console and bill your customers accordingly. So for that one, there is a specific line item, recurring line item type called data backup line. In regards to Bitdefender, or really any of the other antiviruses, there's a couple different ways to do this. Like one, you could use the asset and RMM counter. You could have a saved asset search with everyone that has Bitdefender. So I mean, have Bitdefender. But anyways, this would be a dynamic counter, and this would go to all of the customers that had Bitdefender present on their machine. That's one way to get a dynamic counter. The other one would be you could bill by RMM package. So if you have specific packages for this customer that has enabled Bitdefender or MCsoft or WebRoot, it really could be any of those. You could do it that way as well, and it'd be a dynamic counter. Am I missing anything on that one? I don't think so. And then really quickly, I was just going to say, I just asked technical support super quickly. We had a question from Terry. Does the Deja Vu 7-Eleven credit card terminal integration work with the Mac? So the answer was, we can't find supporting documentation online to confirm. We think it's like 90, we're pretty sure, yes. But it's either something like you could, to like 100% confirm, it would have to either probably just be a question for WorldPay. But we're fairly certain the answer is yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, what's next?
Justin had a follow-up question. He says regarding the asset and RMM counter on the recurring invoice, he says, I assume that means there's no way to update the price on an asset counter line item without erasing it, recreating, and then dragging it back to the correct position on the invoice, correct? So again, back to, let me share the proper screen. Sometimes I get lost in these. So what he's saying, I think, I'm going to assume, and I have no way to test this on the fly since recurring invoices only get generated on a daily basis. You can't just click generate invoice right from here. But I think what he's asking here is if, for example, you're charging $25 for your per endpoint billing, and you can click into here and update the pricing. Let's say you're raising your prices to I don't know, $50 per endpoint. When you update this, I would generate maybe a fake invoice for a fake client and see if having it properly linked like this will automatically update the bill. I feel like it should be built in that way to do that. Every time you change your product, it would update the price automatically for you without you having to delete and then re-add it again just because you refresh that. But I have no way to test it on the fly just because, again, these only get generated once a day. I think it's at 6 a.m. Your time or something like that. So unfortunately, you'd have to test that. But I'm strongly assuming here that is how it would work.
Go ahead, Brandy, if you've got.
Yep. If a customer has multiple locations, is it possible to create monthly invoices per location? So my best advice for this is to go ahead and set up each individual location as a different customer. As far as invoicing goes, right now we don't have a way to set up invoices per location, but a lot of people will just set up those different locations as an individual customer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I'm going to read this one from Ari. Hello, good morning. I made new custom fields for tickets to link to related tickets and to link to documentation, but sometimes I need other ticket custom fields. It seems like when I create a ticket, it only lets me pick a single set of custom fields. Is there a way to do this? Also, feature requests to link documentation and related tickets, just like how you can link assets in tickets. Ari, yes, you can only add one custom field set to a ticket. Tatiana kind of showed maybe a workaround by adding like an on-the-fly worksheet and adding text fields, but I think that we saw links didn't necessarily work there. So essentially, it seems like the feature request would almost be like, just like you can add on-the-fly worksheets, maybe being able to add on-the-fly custom fields as well. So yeah, I think at this point, this would be kind of feature request territory. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Okay. Question here from Robert. He says, I see there's an option in the Assets and RMM section, view pricing package. You can select bundle service and offer the client to self-service from their customer portal. How does this show on Syncro when a customer selects a new plan? So I'll show you guys what he's talking about. This feature has gotten a lot of attention, but we don't have a ton of documentation for it. And I think there's a couple things that we want to add to it before we kind of fully show it off, but the groundwork is there. So what I'll show you is what he's talking about. Every time you create a brand new policy within Syncro, it will simultaneously create a product and service for you. So what he's talking about, if you go to the Asset and RMM section and you go to View and Pricing Packages, this right here is going to be your list of policies in here. And so in here, if you wanted to, you could go to any one of these. I'll go to this base package here. You can edit the description, and this down here is going to be a live link for the specific pricing package. So what that means is you can, if you want that, this one specifically, if you want to offer your customer a website to fill out the form that is built into here, they can enter their information, their email address. It will automatically create them as a customer, create a recurring invoice for them, and it will allow them to download the agent onto their endpoint just using that. You can also take out this package ID part, and it'll give them an entire list of every product offering that you have listed in this section here that I'm showing you guys where that's built from. So the things about this is I don't think there's anything tied within the notification center to see if someone has used this kind of sign up flow in here. I don't think there's anything built into our notification center.
What about new asset added?
Good question.
Just because it is going to be adding a new asset when they deploy the agent. No.
Here's the asset ones. Let's double check.
I've truly never
Oh, there we go.
looked for
Yeah.
that one. So, okay.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, RMM asset was created. So you could get an alert that a customer has deployed the Syncro agent onto their own endpoint, and you could then investigate how it got there, if they used a link that you've sent them from the ticket, or if they used this new sign-up flow. So that's something to consider there too. Let me just double check the chat and see if there's any additional questions for this before. Nope, don't see anything. Hope that helps.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to read this from Justin, basically asking if the ticket automations auto responder kind of workaround that we just talked about could be done in HTML instead of just plain text. I don't believe so. I don't know. Not within the app. I'm not sure if there's any like fun API stuff you could do, but not through ticket automations right now. It would be a feature request to be able to send HTML emails from ticket automations. The other one, will there be support for Zapier integration? And I also saw from Randy just looking for improvements to Zapier. So we do have a Zapier integration. I think for some reason it might still like show up as beta in the App Center. I can't remember if it's on the Zapier side that it still shows beta, but something does. But we definitely have gotten a lot of feature requests to add a little bit more triggers there, but the integration is there and we do support it. Let's see, can you bill per G Suite user? So Kevin, as far as I know, as long as in a saved asset search, you could pull out who has G Suite, then you absolutely could use that as a saved asset search in that reoccurring invoice, just the same way as like if it had Bitdefender or anything like that. So absolutely.
And any other custom field you want to add on there, they'd be able to do it.
Yep.
Another feature request, if we could build the RMM connection sort of RDP to router or printer interface. I think that's something along the lines of SNMP. Not currently available, but hopefully coming soon because a ton of people are asking for it.
Oh yeah, we're working on it.
Yep. And Ari said on the Zapier side, it's in beta, so you have to go through Syncro to get it activated so it shows up on the Zapier side. Good. Nice.
That's awesome.
Good little tip.
Sweet. Bill wants to know, are there plans or is it possible to add real-time feedback when installing patches from the vulnerable systems report? Right now you press install and that's all you get. Bill, this is highly requested, and I do think that we're working on getting like almost like if we could get an RMM alert if something fails or something like that. So yes, definitely been requested, and it's on the list for sure. Okay, I haven't read this one out loud. I'm going to read it out loud. From Jeremy, we are changing our billing cycles beginning June 1st for all software licenses and monthly services being billed and due in advance. Currently, April's licenses are billed on 4/1 with due date of 4/30. On June 1st, clients will get 2 invoices, one for June's licenses and services and one for July's, both due on June 30th. How would you set this up with reoccurring invoices to make the transition as painless as possible on both our and clients? And essentially, the only way I can think about doing it, you're just going to have to create 2 different reoccurring invoices. And then once the transition has hit, you would just get rid of the previous template. I can't really think of another way to do it. You'd have to be sending 2 separate reoccurring invoices.
What's cool is you can clone invoices now.
Yes.
So that's
clone recurring invoices now.
Yes.
So nice.
that is huge because so if you're billing the same exact thing but you need one that's billing in arrears and then moving forward in advance, just create 2. Create one, clone it, change that one setting, and you'll be good.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah. Jeremy says you can. Sweet.
Yes.
We're happy about it too. We got that
It's
request
recent.
a ton.
It's just like 2 weeks ago, I think. I'm super excited about that. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think it's sweet too. And then how do you use the app to discover other assets such as printers, routers, or laptops? There's not currently a network discovery type of a tool or a probe or something, but it is something that has been requested and something that we would like to add, I think that's definitely being worked on.
Go ahead.
Question here from Douglas. He says, with recurring invoices, contracts, stored payment profiles, WorldPay integration, is there a way to auto charge the stored payment? Yes. Yes, there is. I will show you how to do it. If you go over, and the way, there's a couple different ways to do this. So what most MSPs obviously are looking for is automation. So I'll show you. You have, once you set up WorldPay or Stripe, you can have recurring invoices. You can attach a automatic withdrawal to a recurring invoice. So I'll show you in here. I'll show you how to set it up from here. So if you go over to your invoices section, and then into your recurring invoice, once you have that payment processor set up on yours, like the integration is actually set up, you'll start to see a new setting in here that allows you to pull in a payment profile and auto charge the customer. I'll find the KB and I'll drop it into the chat box for everyone to see once that's done. But basically, the way to get that information into Syncro is actually a lot of MSPs just ask their customer to do it if you prefer that they enter their own billing information. And so I'll show you what this looks like on a different account. If we go again, once you have that payment processor enabled, they can enter their own stored payment information into here. And then at that point, once they enter their own information, you can attach that as a where you want that information to pull from.
Yeah, I was trying to log into my staging account right now, and I need to log back into LastPass, and my phone is not
Somewhere.
I was going to show you in real time because it's really sweet. And then, yeah, it's pretty dang slick. Thank you, Tatiana.
Of course.
Okay, few things here. Is there a way to create customer groups that will display more organized when listed on the screen and in reports? So one thing I wanted to show you, Roger, I don't necessarily know if I have a great answer for you in regards to them showing up on reports. I'm just cleaning up my other screen since LastPass is yelling at me right now. But what I wanted to share is that you can create saved customer searches, which is really helpful. So like if you were in your customer screen here, as it stands, you're just going to get a long list of all of your customers. You can use this little magnifying glass, just like creating a saved asset search. You can create a saved customer search. So really it can go off any custom field. It can go off of location, zip code, how much money they've spent, how many tickets they've created. So you can get a very specific granular subset of customers. I don't think we've added any customer grouping options to reports, but it's probably on the way, because what we did add, if you go to reports, the one that we like to show off the most is this asset audit report, because from here you can do like saved searches from your assets. So you could get a quick glance at all the assets that have a specific policy or something like that included. But I do think it would be cool to maybe have a saved customer search here as well. So I think that's a great feature request.
I'm going to let you take the updates or features, or unless Tatiana wants to. I don't want to spill the beans today.
Come on,
Normally,
Brandy.
for those of you who haven't joined us before, I'm usually in trouble after this for spilling the beans on features that aren't here yet. So, you know, if you want to hear the spill the beans with Brandy, we can hop on a demo if I'm your account rep, but I'm going to let Crystal do that today.
Oh, so much pressure as I'm looking over here, and like it's funny because I'll just share with you is this is why this happens. So every Thursday, our team, we have team day, and on this day, our developers have a certain section where they do their show and tells, and they show us all of the awesome things that they've built. Well, from a sales perspective, we see these really cool things, and then we have open office hours the following day, and we tell everybody, not realizing that these things have not gone to production yet. So that's what continues to happen. We get very excited about these things, but there's a lot of really cool things coming in regards to custom widgets. We're doing a ton of work there. Like I've mentioned, the amount of work that's going into Syncro Live right now is kind of incredible. So I definitely recommend keeping your eyes out there because there's kind of crazy stuff coming there. And then what else did we see just yesterday? I thought there was a couple other like quality of life things on the way. But I think a couple of the main things, like I said, the ability, shipping integrations are coming.
Yes.
That's a huge one.
Yep,
They're pretty awesome. We did see those yesterday. They were really cool.
Yeah. So like we're just like high level production type stuff. I think everyone, if you've been with Syncro for even the last month, you've seen that we've kind of put on like major focus goggles on what we need to release and build in order for you all to continue running your business as efficiently as possible with everybody working from home, not being able to go to the offices and things like that. So we have really shifted a lot of our normal roadmap things to these priorities. I do think that that's kind of starting to like go back to the normal roadmap, which is awesome. So there's some really, really cool things on the way and big, like huge features on the way.
Brandy. Justin has said that my Calendly link should have an appointment type of spill the beans with Brandy, 15 minutes. And then others are like, I'm calling you after this.
You're in trouble now, Brandy.
Well, it's hard because we don't know what, of all the things that we see a lot of really cool things each week from our devs. And it's like, we don't know which is shipping that week. But there's some good stuff.
Me the invite, Jeremy says. Paco was curious, how do we find out who your account rep is? Email into support for that info. So it just kind of depends on where you are at with your journey. Like I bet if you just like looked through your email,
you see some.
We have obviously some automated emails that come out. Like when you create your account, you'll get an email from me right away, and then like within the 24 hours, you'll get an email from either Tatiana or Brandy. But if you've been with us for a while and can't remember, yeah, you can just email any of us really, Crystal at syncromsp.com and ask, and I'll let you know. Okay, it is 10:02. Oh my gosh,
that was fast.
Holy cow.
Crazy.
Okay, let's see. Apple Mac support, what's to come? Syncro Live integration. I don't know if Syncro Live is coming to the Mac agent. I really don't. I don't know. Right now, the Mac agent that's in beta has Screen Connect, has that ability. I don't know though. I'm not sure. Things change quickly. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us today. It's been a lovely open office hours. Again, we do these every Friday. I know that we've had some requests actually just recently to maybe offer another time in a different time zone. So we are considering doing that. So keep an eye out if we do add in another time, maybe earlier in the week, later in the day. But thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
They are recorded. YouTube channel. They'll probably be posted the following day.
Yep, exactly.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.